According to the National Electrical Code, it is not a violation to run two separate conductors from the ground bus and a service panel to the ground rods. National Electrical Code Article 250.53 A3 states that the grounding electrode system shall be connected to the equipment grounding conductor, the service grounding electrode conductor, and the grounded service conductor, the service equipment. This section of the code does not specify how many conductors should be used to connect the grounding electrode system to the service equipment. Therefore, it is acceptable to use one conductor or two separate conductors. The method of using one conductor that runs unbroken to each ground rod provides a continuous path to ground. The other method of using two separate conductors that land on the ground bus in the panel provides a redundant path to ground. Ultimately, the decision of which method to use is up to the contractor. However, it is important to note that some local jurisdictions may have additional requirements that could affect the choice of method. When installing grounding systems, remember that the goal is to create a low impedance path for fault current to return to the source. This ensures that overcurrent protective devices, such as circuit breakers or fuses, will trip quickly, minimizing the risk of electrical shock and fire. The National Electrical Code provides specific guidelines for grounding and bonding to achieve this objective. Grounding electrodes, such as ground rods, are used to establish a connection to the earth. This connection helps to stabilize the voltage to earth and provides a path for fault current. Ground rods should be made of approved materials, such as copper or copper-clad steel, and should be of sufficient length to ensure good contact with the earth. The National Electrical Code specifies the minimum length and diameter of ground rods. The location of ground rods is also important. They should be installed where they are least likely to be damaged and where the soil is likely to be moist. The National Electrical Code provides guidance on the spacing and depth of ground rods. When connecting grounding conductors to ground rods, it is important to use approved methods and materials. The National Electrical Code specifies the types of connectors that are permitted for use with ground rods. The connectors should be corrosion resistant and should be properly tightened to ensure a good electrical connection. The size of the grounding conductor is also important. The National Electrical Code specifies the minimum size of the grounding conductor based on the size of the service entrance conductors. The grounding conductor should be large enough to carry the maximum fault current that is likely to occur. In addition to ground rods, other types of grounding electrodes may be used, such as ground plates and underground metallic water pipes. The National Electrical Code provides specific requirements for each type of grounding electrode. It is important to follow these requirements to ensure that the grounding system is effective. Bonding is another important aspect of electrical safety. Bonding is the process of connecting all metal parts of an electrical system together to create a low impedance path for fault current. This includes metal enclosures, conduit, and equipment grounding conductors. The National Electrical Code specifies the requirements for bonding. Bonding jumpers should be used to connect metal parts together. Bonding jumpers should be made of copper or other approved materials and should be of sufficient size to carry the maximum fault current that is likely to occur. The National Electrical Code provides guidance on the size and installation of bonding jumpers. When installing electrical equipment, it is important to follow the manufacturer's instructions and the National Electrical Code requirements. This will help to ensure that the equipment is installed safely and correctly. Regular inspections and maintenance of electrical systems are also important. This can help to identify and correct potential problems before they become serious. Qualified electricians should perform inspections and maintenance of electrical systems. They have the knowledge and experience to identify and correct potential problems. In summary, grounding and bonding are essential for electrical safety. The National Electrical Code provides specific guidelines for grounding and bonding to ensure that electrical systems are safe and effective. It is important to follow these guidelines to protect people and property from electrical hazards. Here are some additional points to consider. Firstly, always consult the latest edition of the National Electrical Code for the most up-to-date requirements. Secondly, local jurisdictions may have additional requirements that are not covered in the National Electrical Code. Thirdly, it is important to obtain the necessary permits before starting any electrical work. Fourthly, always use qualified electricians for electrical work. Fifthly, never work on electrical systems unless you are properly trained and qualified. Sixthly, always de-energize electrical circuits before working on them. Seventhly, use appropriate personal protective equipment such as gloves and safety glasses when working on electrical systems. Eighthly, test electrical circuits after completing work to ensure that they are properly grounded and bonded. Ninthly, document all electrical work that is performed. Tenthly, keep accurate records of inspections and maintenance. The National Electrical Code is a comprehensive set of standards for electrical installations. It covers a wide range of topics including grounding, bonding, wiring, and equipment. The National Electrical Code is updated every 3 years to reflect changes in technology and safety practices. It is important to stay up to date on the latest edition of the National Electrical Code. The National Electrical Code is published by the National Fire Protection Association. The National Fire Protection Association also offers training and certification programs for electricians and other electrical professionals. Grounding electrode conductors play a crucial role in ensuring electrical safety by providing a low impedance path for fault currents to return to the source, thereby facilitating the quick operation of overcurrent protection devices. According to the National Electrical Code, the size of the grounding electrode conductor must be determined based on the size of the service entrance conductors. For instance, if the service entrance conductors are 2/0 American wire gauge copper, the grounding electrode conductor must be at least 6 American wire gauge copper. It is essential to consult National Electrical Code Table 250.66 for specific sizing requirements based on the service entrance conductor size and material. When connecting the grounding electrode conductor to a ground rod, it is imperative to use listed and labeled connectors that are specifically designed for direct burial. These connectors are typically made of copper or bronze and are designed to withstand corrosion and maintain a secure electrical connection. The connection should be made in a manner that ensures a permanent and reliable bond between the conductor and the ground rod. The National Electrical Code also addresses the installation of multiple ground rods. If 2 or more ground rods are used, they must be spaced at least 6 feet apart. This spacing is necessary to ensure that each ground rod is in contact with a different volume of earth, thereby reducing the overall resistance of the grounding system. The grounding electrode conductor must be connected to each ground rod in a manner that provides a continuous and uninterrupted path to ground. This can be achieved by using a continuous conductor that runs from the service equipment to each ground rod, or by using separate conductors that are connected to a common grounding bus bar. The resistance of the grounding system is a critical factor in ensuring its effectiveness. The National Electrical Code requires that the resistance of the grounding system not exceed 25 ohms. If the resistance exceeds this value, an additional ground rod or other grounding electrode must be installed to reduce the resistance. The resistance of the grounding system can be measured using a ground resistance tester. This device injects a test current into the earth and measures the voltage drop to determine the resistance. Regular testing of the grounding system is recommended to ensure that it remains effective over time. In addition to ground rods, other types of grounding electrodes are permitted by the National Electrical Code, including ground plates, underground metallic water pipes, and concrete encased electrodes, also known as UFA grounds. Each type of grounding electrode has its own specific installation requirements that must be followed to ensure compliance with the code. Ground plates must be buried at least 30 inches below the surface of the earth and must have a surface area of at least 2 square feet. Underground metallic water pipes can be used as grounding electrodes if they are in direct contact with the earth for at least 10 feet. Concrete encased electrodes must be encased in at least 2 inches of concrete and must be located within the bottom 2 inches of the concrete foundation or footing. Bonding is another essential aspect of electrical safety that is closely related to grounding. Bonding involves connecting all metal parts of an electrical system together to create a low impedance path for fault currents. This includes metal enclosures, conduit, equipment grounding conductors, and other metallic components. The purpose of bonding is to ensure that all metal parts are at the same electrical potential, thereby minimizing the risk of electric shock. The National Electrical Code provides detailed requirements for bonding in Article 250. These requirements specify the size and type of bonding conductors that must be used, as well as the methods for connecting them to metal parts. Bonding jumpers are used to connect metal parts together. Bonding jumpers must be made of copper or other approved materials and must be sized according to the National Electrical Code requirement. The size of the bonding jumper depends on the size of the circuit conductors. Equipment grounding conductors are used to connect the metal enclosures of electrical equipment to the grounding system. Equipment grounding conductors must be installed in the same raceway or cable as the circuit conductors. The size of the equipment grounding conductor depends on the size of the circuit conductors. The National Electrical Code also addresses the bonding of swimming pools, spas, and hot tubs. These areas are considered to be high risk for electric shock, so special bonding requirements are in place to ensure safety. All metal parts of the pool, spa, or hot tub, including the reinforcing steel and the concrete, must be bonded together. The bonding conductor must be sized according to the National Electrical Code requirements and must be connected to a common bonding grid. The National Electrical Code also includes requirements for surge protection. Surge protective devices are used to protect electrical equipment from voltage surges caused by lightning or other electrical disturbances. Surge protective devices should be installed at the service entrance and at other locations throughout the electrical system as needed. The National Electrical Code provides guidance on the selection and installation of surge protective devices. The proper grounding and bonding of electrical systems is essential for ensuring electrical safety. By following the National Electrical Code requirements and using qualified electricians, it is possible to minimize the risk of electric shock and fire. Remember to always consult the latest edition of the National Electrical Code for the most up-to-date requirements. Also, local jurisdictions may have additional requirements that are not covered in the National Electrical Code. Obtaining the necessary permits before starting any electrical work is important, and remember to always use qualified electricians for electrical work. To energize electrical circuits before working on them and use appropriate personal protective equipment such as gloves and safety glasses when working on electrical systems. Test electrical circuits after completing work to ensure that they are properly grounded and bonded, and document all electrical work that is performed. Finally, keep accurate records of inspections and maintenance. By adhering to these best practices, you can help to ensure the safety and reliability of electrical systems.